Greetings, Alexis, Marshall, daughters. We're gonna do it. This AMA. I'm gonna answer questions, and we'll see how it goes. It might be really boring. It might be enjoyable. It might not be either, but we'll see. Mark Graves would like to know, what is your top favorite album to listen to? And then specified non-daughters, as though my favorite album to listen to would be a daughter's album, because it's not a daughter's album. I'm a big Scott Walker fan, so The Drift and Tilt are great records. I listen to them frequently, to excess probably. But I really love to listen to Climate of Hunter by Scott Walker. Is like a bizarre album, and I like it a lot. I think it's really good. And maybe that would right now be my favorite record to listen to. My top favorite. That changes, but right now you're asking, it's Climate of Hunter, Scott Walker. Caden LaPlante asks, when looking back at your entire career of writing music and poetry over the years, what do you feel you've improved on the most? I don't know if I've improved in an area as far as ability or technical ability or anything like that. But I think the improvement has been more so of just kind of figuring out who I am as an artist, as a writer. When I was younger, I kind of wrote to sound like people I liked. And my performances were sort of similar. There was a thing in the 90s where hardcore bands, a lot of guys take their shoes off. Their bands would play without their shoes and shit. And in like 97, I emulated that. I was like, hey, you're supposed to take your fucking shoes off, right? That's what you do. And I had to kind of figure out how I perform. And similarly with writing, that's not a development from a long time ago. Some of it is, but like more recently, I think when like my first poetry collection I put out that was released of mine, when I look back at it, it doesn't sound like me at all. It just seems like I was writing how I thought poetry was supposed to be. As only a reader and like a writer, I hadn't like really figured it out yet for myself. And this is only like 4 years ago or something. So only in the past couple of years have I really, in that realm of poetry, like kind of figured that out. And oddly, lyrically, I'd figured it out, many years ago. But I'd say that's where I've improved, is like self-discovery and not so much as a player or a singer or anything like that, but more so as being thoughtful and honest with myself. All right, let's see what else we have here. I hope that was good for you, Caden. Christina Kelly asks how I'm doing. How thoughtful. I'm doing all right. Thank you for asking. I hope you're well. I was curious about what piece of art you've created or contributed to you would consider the most fulfilling, whether it be an album, song, poem, etc. Whether it be something that you think working on helped your emotional spirit, pushed you the most artistically, you think is your best piece of work from an audience standpoint, or you just enjoyed yourself the most while making it. Whatever you got the most fulfillment out of. Christina, I don't even remember the beginning of this question, but luckily I have it here on the screen. What piece of art I've created or contributed to I would consider the most fulfilling? I don't know if there's any one particular thing that is like the most fulfilling piece of art I've made or project I've been involved in. I've been involved in projects. I worked with Paul Barker on a song. I sang on a Paul Barker song, and Paul Barker, started ministry with Al Jorgensen. Or I don't know if he's on that first record, but anyway, Paul was on the best of the ministry albums. And I watched. I saw Ministry on Headbangers Ball when I was a kid, in like '93. Watching fucking Headbangers Ball on MTV at midnight on Saturday. And if you had told me that I would work with Paul sometime down the line, that would have just blown my mind. And then I began having conversations on the phone with Paul, and we've become friends. And it seems that I'm not. It doesn't fuck me up the way I think I expected it to. It's just sort of like I'm a person who's creating something, and Paul's a creative person, and we've met each other through time and over time, it seems strangely normal. And what's fulfilling, the most fulfilling thing, probably not something I've worked on, but just that I find myself in a position where I'm meeting people, and my peer group would have been like a people I admired when I was young and growing up, and now these are just like comrades, and that's like pretty fulfilling. It's the kind of strange validation to feel like I haven't been wasting my time. I don't know if I answered your question. I'm sorry. Victoria Antoinette. Hello, Alexis. Hope all is well. Some of you people are very considerate. Thank you. I appreciate that. I was just wondering, with all this time to look inward during COVID, has this free time provided any new clarity for things you'd like to focus or work on in the future? If so, what? I'm starting this poetry press, literary press, putting out my work, putting out the works of other writers that I admire, people I like, and who I think are probably not really being listened to. I have a lot of friends who write, and then when asked what they're doing with their writing, they say, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm not doing anything with it, and I think that's a goddamn shame. So I have begun the steps to remedy that. A lot of interesting writers who can get their shit out there, and I'm happy to be involved. Because I can't play music like this the way I do forever. My back and neck really hurt. But to look inward? Shit. I don't know. That's like, I had a strange year last year. And I don't think COVID helped or provided me the time, but it coincided with this lockdown, this sort of self-discovery, and finding a program and going to rehab and all that kind of shit is that's great. It's a great thing. Life is strange. We only get to do it. You get one time. So, do your best. Kevin. Oh, this is the Kevin I've heard so much about. Kevin. Hi, Alexis. What have you been reading, listening to lately? How is your creative process for your solo work compared to the work with daughters? Reading lately, I just did a podcast not too long ago called Books of Some Substance, where I discussed. I just finished up Jean Cocteau's The Holy Terrors. We discussed that, and it felt like being in school. I haven't been in school in like 25 years. So I took notes, and it was actually a lot of fun. I think I'll probably be in the habit of writing or taking notes more often when I'm reading. I read The Elephant Man. I hadn't read the play, like this formal stage play ever. And I just started William Carlos Williams' The Doctor Stories. And listening to, I don't know, still a lot of Scott Walker. I've been listening to a lot of Nina Simone lately, and Simon and Garfunkel. Um, and I've enjoyed like the comfort listening during these like crazy times, because it's hard to, not like hard to find new music, but it's hard to get into anything new because I'm trying to like feel comfortable and safe in my life, and the outside world is not a place for safety and comfort, even even outside of the fucking pandemic. So, uh, and creative process with solo work compared to the work with Daughters. Daughters is very much a job where like it feels like everything's very planned, and you have to, everyone's working together on the thing, or like, yeah, there's this thing and people don't like what's going on, and it can be a little overwhelming. So the solo record was much more of a like free range for everybody involved, and myself. Had my friend Evan Patterson, who has a project called J Jail. The dear Kristen Hayter, who has Lingua Ignota, and the Swedish Werewolf, Jonathan Severson, performed, and we all sort of worked together kind of freely, and if somebody had an idea, we just kind of chased it, and if it didn't work, it didn't work, and it was a lot of fun and kind of an environment that didn't feel very stressful, or we didn't feel it was a meeting a deadline, though there were deadlines, but there was just no. It felt like after school, where Daughters feels like at school. You're here, like you got a certain time, and then this goes here and here and here, and then like can't run in the halls and shit, and then this, and I think the solo work kind of felt like fuck it. Like I threw all the demos away when we got to the studio. I decided we're just gonna like, let's all just like start from just wherever it's gonna take us. So it was a lot of fun, and that's how it differs. Also, I have complete control over it, which is a little strange. So it's less of a democracy when I'm working on my own. I don't know your Kacper. I'm gonna call you Casper. But that's probably not your name. But I don't know what else to call you. Hello, Alexis. Do you know when we will have the opportunity to hear your solo album? So April, we'll have a single available in April, and the first single off the LP, and then the record will be out in June. And you can hear it then. Just, pay for it. Because I'm fucking broke. You must have been a very awesome feeling when you sold out of represses of self-titled and Hell songs in pre-order. I don't know. I didn't know that till now. Thank you. Are you planning to make more copies of past albums? Yeah, we just reissued Canada songs, and then Hell songs, and self-titled, and we'll get represses. And, hopefully we'll find ourselves in a place where everything's just available. Because if you're paying hundreds of dollars for it's like a fucking record, like don't do that. Don't do that at all. That's bad. That's a bad thing. Just wait. We're going to put everything out. Everything will be available to you. And this motherfucker keeps going here. What else we got? What was the craziest thing you did on stage, and what was your most serious injury on stage? The craziest thing I did on stage, I don't really know. I'll tell you something that is eventful, from what I'm told, where I had taken some drugs. I don't know what I took, and then I drank copious amounts of alcohol, and I got naked and appeared out of a broom closet with a bucket on my head and a broom, and marched across the stage. It was a hideous sight. I think I pulled someone's face into my naked ass hole. And I woke up in a bathroom afterwards. So that was an evening. And my most serious injury, I dislocated my shoulder on the reunion shows we did several years ago. We did 2 shows. And the first night went off just fine. And then the second night I was dry humping the stage in a tribute to the great Prince. And when I pushed myself up onto my feet, I popped my shoulder dislocated. It was the fourth dislocation. So I had surgery a couple months later. But it was a chronic injury that was happening. It was not, it should not have been a shock to me. It was more of a disappointment than a shock, I suppose. Do you have memories of playing in Poland at Off Festival in 2019? I think I do. And it was great. I had a good time. It was a lot of fun. I think I went to see, in the afternoon before the show, we went to see Auschwitz, and that was pretty wild, and fucked me up, and I wept, and it was just heartbreaking and upsetting. But I'm glad I saw that, and but Off Festival was great. Best regards and hope to see you soon on stage. Thank you, Casper. That's got to be the most questions just jammed in there. Blake Prince. I recognize your name. What's the significance behind naming the first full length after the wonderful country of Canada? Was the album or songs in the album inspired by experiences you had in the country? Does Canada hold a different meaning? Was it a random selection? So Jeremy, who directed the Less Sex video for us, was one of the founding members of Daughters, and he's Canadian. He's from Toronto area, and I think maybe I thought I was being clever or something, and we just called it Canada Songs, and then we were going to carry the song's theme on every record, and then we didn't. We did 2 like that, and then we stopped. But that was it. It wasn't like really well thought out. I had written, there's a draft. It's gone now. I've lost it. But there was a draft for a song that was going to be on Hell Songs. That was called A Canada Song. That was a direct nod to, obviously, the title. And then it was written about a night that we had in Canada that I'm not going to discuss. But it was written about a particular event Jeremy got himself into. Jeremy and I. It was really interesting and fun night. Who is Paul? I don't know. I'm not going to tell you who Paul is. I'm not sure I decided who Paul is. Paul is where he's going. The Paul adventure will continue. Bill Miller, what's your favorite / craziest moment you've had while playing live? My favorite moment, we played in Moscow, and we had never been to Moscow. We played St. Petersburg the night before, and then took the train to Moscow to play the next night. And the kind of bridge to the ending of Satan and the Wait, there was just like, normally people are kind of clapping, as it goes, waiting for the thing. And this entire fucking room was like stomping and clapping, and it was like really incredible. And it kind of like took me out of character or something, and like brought me into this really euphoric moment. And I was kind of smiling, looking at everybody else, and I remember looking back at John and just thinking, this is like fucking amazing. We're in Moscow and we have no reason. We shouldn't be here. We're a bunch of like grew up in poverty, like shitheads, drug addicts and alcoholics, and like fucking ruin our lives. And now here we are in like Russia and Moscow playing, and like people are having a wonderful time. It was like, yeah, we've like come a long way, and from where we were and where we were. So that's probably my favorite moment while playing. Let's see, Benny Bobo. If you could be any character from all literature, who would you choose and why? No superheroes. I don't know. You know the thing with me, I read a lot of books of people kind of in situations that aren't admirable or enviable, admirable. You know, um, as far as like fiction and characters there, I've read. You know, I honestly can't think of a single person I've identified with in a book and thought like, yeah, this is the person to be. You know, if I'm like, you know, reading Selby or something, there certainly isn't a character in a fucking Selby novel where I think like, yeah, this is a fucking, I would love to be this motherfucker. Or, you know, and even in some of like the religious works I've read where there's you know, even, I mean, there's no one admirable in all of religion. Because I mean, all of the fiction of literature, which is all fiction, it's all a bunch of hoopla, phooey. So I'm sorry I don't have an answer to your question, especially because there's no superheroes. I grew up reading comic books, working in a comic shop, and I think they're admirable here. Oh, fucking hell. Good question though, but I don't have an answer for you. Don't cancel your Patreon. All right. Sorry I didn't answer your question, Benny. Minko Holik. I hope I'm saying that right. Hi, Alexis. I want to ask about the process of writing lyrics. Is it getting more difficult or easier after more and more experience with writing? Do you have any special rituals before you start writing? This is all around rituals. I didn't do that myself. Is it easier? I don't know. It's like it's fluid. It's always a little different. You know, I'm not always sure where it's going, and sometimes the songs I think take more various forms. There's more. I do more drafts now than I used to, but I don't know if it's necessarily the writing process is changing or changed at all. Not as far as, you know, lyrically. I think I just kind of will sit down and listen to the demos or something, or I'll write a lyric down and I'll find a place for it eventually or something like that. So that's kind of always how it's worked for me. And you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Do I have any special rituals? No. I think the only thing I tend to walk around, or walk a pace. I think it's because it's a little more performative for me. I think I like to think about words in a rhythmic sense, because I'm not a big fan of melody. I don't care much for melody. I'm much more of a drums, interested in some of the primal aspects of music writing. So so for me it's more rhythmic and like physical than it is trying to fucking like hit that high note or catch a little fucking catchy chorus or some shit. Like I couldn't be bothered with that type of fucking nonsense. You know, I feel like John would have had something really funny for that. I think John's AMA is gonna be really good. He would have had like something really clever. John's really funny. Jennifer Arle, A-R-L-E. Man, I can't say anybody's name. Wanted to say Moving Windows was the first poetry book I've ever bought. I want to stop there and say that what the fuck is your problem? You should be reading more poetry. Jennifer. It's getting me into the medium in general. Finally, hey, I should have finished the sentence reading that before I jumped all over you, Jennifer, and I'm sorry for that. Okay, it wasn't a question, so I shouldn't even address it. Now I look like just a prick. Would you guys make any clothing oriented at women? I really want a tank top with the "you won't get what you want" skull face. We do have women's shirts, don't we? There's a note in here, probably from my management, that says, we have a few women's shirts available in our web stores already. This issue with women's apparel, it almost always runs as a month. We do. I remember years ago, like a really long time ago, we used to make like youth sizes. There was a big thing where like if you listened to our band, you were like a boy who weighed like 80 pounds and you wanted to wear a youth medium, and it was fucking crazy. We made lots of youth sizes, youth larges. We were selling to 22-year-old kids who were wearing shirts far too small for them. And that trend is over, as far as I know. But I don't leave the house too often, so I really couldn't tell you. But we have women's stuff. I don't know. Maybe what would you suggest, Jennifer? I don't know. I don't know women's specific. I have no idea what that would mean. Like thongs or some fucking shit. I don't know. I don't think that's not something we're gonna make. Jonah Harper. Hey Lex. Oh, I guess we know each other. We're that kind of close, Jonah. That you can call me Lex. What are some of your favorite films? Have any films inspired your lyrics and poetry? I know Ravenous inspired The First Supper, but I was curious of any other examples. I'm also curious if you've seen the A24 movie Under the Skin. I think you might like it. Well, Jonah. Some of my favorite films, I think Taxi Driver is like the greatest film ever made. Which probably sounds typical, but I think it's fucking brilliant. And it's to go with my literary, like literature. Like anyone admirable that I listen to, that I read about. No, so there's no one admirable as far as my film watching, but yeah, Taxi Driver is the greatest film ever made. Night of the Hunter is brilliant. When you put me on the spot, it's kind of hard to think of things. Yeah, no, there's there's a lot of great stuff. You don't need me to tell you what's great. You don't even want to know what I think. You just fucking. Films inspired, Ravenous inspired. First Supper was written around the character that Guy Pearce's character, John Boyd. Was that what the hell his name? Yeah. And things. There's some Star Wars references in the Fuck Whisperer. I'm trying to think of other songs, but I can't think of anything else. I maybe should have done a little researched myself and my work before I answer these questions. But that would show a forward-thinking thoughtfulness that I often lack when it comes to doing things socially. So my apologies. But my poetry, no. That's far more poetry. For me, it's much more selfish, kind of just about me, and my views and feelings and interpretations of what's happening. Let's see. There was a scene in the book Survivor by Chuck Palahniuk, when I was a big fan of when it came out. Many years ago, that inspired a line in Fiery, off of House Songs. But there's probably all kinds of little things like that, and I haven't even thought about it. And now that I've read the question, I'm answering it, I kind of wish I did go back and read everything, because I probably have more. I have a bunch of good shit for you. I want to answer this question, man. I just don't. I'm sorry, Jonah. That said, have I seen Under the Skin? I haven't. It does look interesting, but I haven't sat down and watched it. I have a long list. I have the Criterion channel, and it's filled with like all these films that are like 3 or 4 hours long, and I just fucking, when am I gonna watch this shit? I don't know, but I'm trying to get there. I'm getting there. Joshua Connor, any plans to reprint your book or have it available for digital purchase? Also, what poets would you recommend to fans of your lyrics? I'll assume that the reprint for See Above the Pains of Our Youth, I'm not going to reprint that. As I mentioned earlier in this, I'm not a big fan of what I wrote in that book, and I'm proud of it and proud that the work I put in, but I'm proud of the work I put in, but the work that kind of came out of it, I'm not happy with it. I'm sure at some point I'll release some kind of selected works, and some of that shit will appear there. But I don't really want to deal with that book or think about it again. It's I did it, and I'm onward and upward, I suppose. Also, what poets would I recommend to fans of the lyrics? I don't know if I have. I write more lyrically. It's more stories. It has more of a literary aspect to it. Like sort of, Selby or Flannery O'Connor or people like that, McCarthy. So I don't really think of a lot of poets, and I think poets who have a literary style, maybe somebody like Gary Snyder, who I'm not a huge fan, where it's kind of storytelling in the poem. And for me, I'm really big on wordplay lately. So people like Creeley, like Robert Creeley, Bly. I love his work. Sharon Olds. You should be reading Sharon Olds. If you're not reading Sharon Olds, then you're really like kind of getting in your own way as far as poetry. And like a Charles Simic is a favorite of mine. I love him and his work. And you can talk about like a fork. It's a poem about a fork that is like just fucking brilliant. Like, who can write about a utensil other than Charles Simic? So that I recommend them. David Winter, when is your solo album coming out? I answered this earlier. June 2021. When can we expect a new Daughters album? I have the same question. I do not know. Hopefully 2022. If it's another 10 years, it's just like, fuck. And how's the process of recording going at the moment? We've demoed. We went back to machines and demoed for a few days, and we probably thought. There's like sort of a misconception. I think that everyone has some free time now, and then COVID, but like it's kind of really fucking us up, and everyone's in a strange headspace and trying to figure out what is this world? Will it ever be normal again? And that type of thing. Sort of a lot of like big fears type of shit. So I think things will settle, and everyone will kind of settle into life, and we'll be able to think about work and not think about like what the fuck is this world we're living in now. We'll see how it goes. Chris Pantozzi, because Daughters never got a chance to tour the self-titled album, do you think bringing material from that album to recent live shows for the first time has changed your relationship with those songs? Similarly, do you think the extensive touring Daughters did for You Won't Get What You Want informed how you wanted to approach vocals with a new album? We did shows pre You Won't Get What You Want. We did a bunch of those, and that was really like kind of featuring the self-titled record. But to sit on to like play songs that are over a decade old, it can be, it's really dull and stale and not ideal for people who are always like trying to do the next thing, which is sort of the curse of like being of people who working as like an artist or like some sort of creative realm. Where like you do something and then you sit on it for like 8 months, 10 months, a year, and then it comes out, and then people, it's new to everybody else. But you know, as a person who's created it, you're kind of like ready to do the next thing and then to move on, and that so that's that can be hard when shit is like you know, you may want to hear fucking whatever song, and then like we've had enough. We wrote it, we recorded it, we performed it, and that shit was a decade ago, and now we have to like to try to redo it, to do it again. It's just like, yeah, I've had enough. I think you won't get what you want, you know, different in a way, because it's, you know, it's, I mean, it's still really new, and you know, and I think we wrote our best stuff that we've ever written is on that record, so that should be around for a while. But who knows? I mean, we'll do a few more records, and then maybe you won't get some shit we won't want to revisit anymore. And I think Van Morrison was often criticized for not wanting to play like Brown Eyed Girl and shit like that. It's like, you know, he didn't want to be a jukebox. And you know, I wouldn't want to be a jukebox either. Fucking just playing his shit to make everybody else happy. But I understand if you go see Van Morrison, you're bummed when he doesn't play Brown Eyed Girl, because that's what people want to hear. But I mean, when you're a writer, it's like, you're not just playing it in like Boston. Like, you're playing in fucking Boston, you play in Philadelphia, and you play in New York City, and you play in like fucking Tallahassee, and you fucking play it in Sioux Falls, and you play it in fucking Portland. You play that shit over and over and over again. It's exhausting. So, you know, to keep things fresh, we'll go fucking crazy. I'm slightly worried I'm going to be skipping over some of these questions, but I don't think I've skipped over anything. Chris Cannemere. You've mentioned in an older interview that you wished the recording process was more live in nature. Any plans for the new album to capture that sort of feeling? I don't know. It's still really early, and but you know, but I don't foresee it. It's not anything we've ever done, and I don't think it's something we'll do. There was an attempt to do that when we were trying to do an EP before we did You Won't Get What You Want, and a bunch of the stuff ended up on the album. But we scrapped the EP idea, and sort of that like kind of writing on the fly, it didn't work. It just doesn't work for Daughters. It's just not happening. And then I mean, that doesn't mean it doesn't work, because I mean, I made a record myself with people without, I just sort of slide on the fly. But Daughters is not that project. I can do it. You've also asked, also with the recent reprises of Canada songs, is there any chance we could see some of the older songs revisited, reworked to work in a live setting? No. I will never sing like Pants Meet Shit ever again. I was stoked to do that when I was fucking like 22. But Pants Meet Shit. No, I'm good. I think I'm good. Lombardozzi would like to know, will you go to the prom with me? Yeah, sure. I'm gonna get my vaccine soon, so we'll hit the town. It looks like that's everything. I don't believe I missed any questions. I'm sure I said a lot of unnecessary things and took longer than this needed to take. It says 39 minutes coming up, and that's, I don't want to talk to anybody for longer than half an hour. So thanks for listening, if you made it this far. I actually enjoyed this. Just broke up the day. I went to the grocery store, you know, I ate lunch. Fell asleep for like 5 minutes on the couch, and then I did this. So here's the highlight. Thank you, and see you all when we can see you. Love you.